Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Watch Stuff with us. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
And today we are continuing our coverage on The Pitt. This time we're doing episode 8. This has been a great show. I love it. I love it.
Too.
So please hit that like button, drop a comment below, hit that notification bell, and also subscribe. Do all the things because we need you to do all the things to help out our channel.
Please
and we would appreciate it.
And appreciate you.
Yes.
A ton.
Personally.
Yes.
We love you.
Yes.
Now let's review the show.
Yes. This episode was cool. They had a lot of really interesting patients.
A lot of stuff
Way
happening.
More than last episode.
Yes.
So it was fun because each patient was had a big story. So we start off, we talk about Collins. She ran into Dr. Robbie and he was like, "Are you okay?" Because of what had happened at the end of the last episode. He didn't know of that, but he had seen her acting a little off that day. And so he was asking her, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm fine," and just kind of walked away, obviously not wanting to discuss what happens with him or maybe anybody else. But luckily we did have the hospital's little guardian angel step in.
Yes. I feel like Dana is the hospital coach.
Yes.
She's like the person who gives everybody what they need when they need it.
Yep. So she stepped in, noticed that Collins was going through some stuff.
Looking off, man.
Yeah, so luckily they were able to talk it through. And Collins was, she processed some of those emotions in the moment. And then she went back to work. So
yeah,
I don't know. She's a tough lady.
At the end of the last episode, we were kind of wondering is she going to continue to go to work or is she going to go home? But yeah, just like we figured, she's staying at work, and I can understand that because it would be super tough to just go home and dwell on it, I guess. Mm-hmm. So she's just gonna try to drown herself. Boo, bad pun. She's just gonna try to absorb her job as opposed to dwell on her situation. So
yes.
Speaking of drowning.
Yeah. So then a patient came in.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time rolling into that.
Yeah, I know.
Good job,
I know. That's all I was
man.
Ooh.
Okay, so we had a 6-year-old drowning victim that was admitted to the ER, and so see what was going on with her. That 6 years old, so young. That's always scary when there's a child.
Yeah.
Then we went on to the college-age victim that went through the fentanyl overdose. His parents had finally agreed to let him donate his organs as he had wanted to originally. So they did this little procession through the hallway to pretty much just show support to the family, thank him for his donation. And so they wheeled him down the hallway, and all the staff in the hospital lined both walls, and just to show support and love for the situation.
And then too, it's one of the few breaks that you see the doctors sort of have, and it's not like an actual break, right, but almost a break in the action where they took the time to stop to pay their respects to this young man who passed away. And it was tough to watch, and I could tell that the parents of the boy were very appreciative of the doctors doing that. And to see the mom, who was someone who I felt like was very skeptical, she wasn't very supportive of the doctors initially, but to see where she was at and her appreciation for what they did and everything that they did, it was a good character arc for her. And it was a good way to see that, hey, and for her to realize that, I know that they did the best that they could. She's upset about losing her son, but these doctors did everything that they could, and that they're showing the respect of, stopping what they're doing right now in order to pay respects to her son who had passed away. So I think that she was very appreciative of that, which was cool to see.
Yeah, and it was really cool when Dr. Robbie went over and hugged her too, and was saying, "Can we come to the visitation or the funeral, and to pay our respects there?" And the parents were moved by that they'd even want to attend. So I thought that was sweet.
Yeah.
So back to the girl, the drowning victim.
Mm-hmm.
That was a whole situation where the little girl and her sister had been playing outside,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe it was a ball that went over the fence and it went into the pool. The grandma was babysitting, but she didn't know that she didn't see them climb over the fence and to go get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went ahead and went in the pool.
Yeah, the little
The
one,
sister
the
went in the
younger one.
pool.
Yeah.
The little sister went in the pool to go get it and didn't know how to swim.
Mm-hmm.
And so then her older sister jumped in to help her and then got the little sister out, but then the older sister could not get out and swim
Mm-hmm.
herself either.
Mm-hmm.
So she's the one that was taken to the hospital, and the parents obviously are distraught. The grandmother is distraught, and they are saying that there's no way that she is unfortunately going to survive this due to her potassium level and the cardiac arrest and how she's been unresponsive for so long. And so everybody in the hospital was very upset about that because it was a
Mm-hmm.
very, you know, si- tough situation with a little
Yeah.
child.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Yeah.
And seeing someone that young pass away and then having to deliver that news. We've seen them deliver, bad news to people multiple times over this show. And I've realized now that I'm sure it's a doctor, and I don't mean tactic in a bad way, but it's a doctor tactic to give the medical reasoning behind why you're doing something. And that sort of gives you an in and a justification for the next thing that you're going to say. So they broke out the scientific talk about how the potassium levels were too high, and that meant that she was not going to be able to regain consciousness and be brought back. So that is the evidence that will help the parents know and understand it, like, yeah, she's passed away
Right.
and
Because her body
this is
was
what has to be
warming
going
up and they
right.
thought that there was
You
hope
feel like
that
she's
she'd be able
doing
to come
better.
back. But just
Mm-hmm.
because the body's warming up to
Mm-hmm.
getting closer to room temp does not mean that,
Mm-hmm.
she's with them anymore.
Yeah, and like I've personally dealt with situations like that too, or with a situation like that too, where you had someone who was in a coma and was feeling like making movements and sort of like mumbling things, and you think that they're getting better, but they really aren't. And it's a tough pill to swallow, and you need doctors to explain to you why the things that you're seeing aren't necessarily good signs. So it was really cool to see that this show goes through those lenses, and like the realism on here is on par with nothing else I've ever seen in a medical show before.
No, I would agree because I've watched all the medical shows almost.
Yeah. You love them.
I do, and this one definitely is very realistic. It is more typical trauma that you would see in an ER as opposed to all the kind of crazy or far-fetched ones that you see in episodes of other doctor shows.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Not to mention you don't have quite as much uh, personal staff drama going on. I mean, you have a little bit in this show, but not nearly as much. No like relationships, office
Yeah,
hookups. Like, mm-mm.
yeah. It's not as salacious on that
No,
level.
it's more focused on the patients, and
Mm-hmm.
I do like that.
I
And
do
I
too.
going back to the little girl,
Mm-hmm.
her little sister,
Mm-hmm.
that relationship that Dr. King built with her
Mm-hmm.
and was talking
Mm-hmm.
with her and
And
brought
the
her back the
bear.
bear.
Mm-hmm.
That was so sweet. I love that she was there for her. And was kind of able to help talk to her about the situation and let the little one vent about my sister saved me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah, and I understand like as a person on the outside looking in, shows like this give you a peek into the types of traumatic situations that these doctors have to deal with. Like I could not imagine having to do this. Like, and for Dr. Robbie, he's probably done this type of situation hundreds of times now. And like that has to take an unbelievable toll on a person emotionally. And it just
Mentally.
my heart goes out to the doctors who are able to do these types of things and still provide amazing care for people, because you give up a piece of yourself by doing this type of job. The
And
same
we know
thing
they
for
don't go
teachers.
home and shake it off, because that's
Right.
not, everybody
Right.
says just shake it off, leave work at work and go
No.
home.
No.
That's not how things
No.
work. If you actually care about what you're doing and the people that you work with, you don't just leave that at work and go home
Mm-hmm.
and just pretend like nothing happened.
Mm-hmm. And I work at a place where I'm able to leave, 99% of things at home. But even I have certain situations that occur that you end up bringing it home with you, and you have to figure out different ways to cope. And this is sort of just a tangent on doctors in general, but man, like
We
it's
appreciate you.
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing what you do. So yeah, we definitely appreciate you.
Yeah. And then I guess the other patient I'd like to talk about is Willie. Willie
Yeah.
was so cute.
Yeah.
So he came in, and as they were working with him and trying to figure out, what was going on with him, he kind of started dropping some medical terminology,
Yeah.
or he was just like, "Oh yeah, you need to do this for me," or "This is wrong, you need to do this." And they
And
were
he knew
like,
certain
"How do you
medications and
know?"
stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
they're like, "How
Right.
do you know that you need to have this administered, or that this is something that we need to do?" So he kind of came out and said that he was a field trained first responder with the Freedom House Ambulance Service of the 1960s in Pittsburgh. And
Mm-hmm.
so um, he said that they were the heroes of Hill District,
Mm-hmm.
and his son was adding about his father and the Freedom House medics, and said that they were pretty much a bunch of young black dudes saving lives.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, just
It was almost
volunteering to help.
Yeah, it was almost like what you would imagine, like, and I watch a lot of superhero shows, but you would almost imagine like a group of vigilantes. So they were operating outside of the police and the normal medical system in order to help people who were not getting the help that they need. A lot of times those were people of color, and also people who were,
Impoverished.
yes, impoverished people. And they were out there doing these things, and helping to deliver these people to the hospital to get adequate care, but also
Right.
providing care in the process. And yeah, you don't think about that angle of it, but back then there, hospitals were different. The world was different.
And
And
the there were not as many
yeah,
hospitals. You
exactly.
couldn't always get
Exactly.
to a hospital or
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
time.
And
So
you needed these supplemental sort of like organizations or groups to help out in these situations. And they were frowned upon by police. They were frowned upon by the traditional medical community, but they
how dare they
served,
help others?
right, but they served a very, very, very important purpose. And it was cool to see that the Pit was able to shine a light on that.
Yeah.
One other thing that I wanted to talk about before we stop
Sure.
was the situation up here with, you had the young lady who Dr. McKay was working with, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
seemed like
Mm.
she had some sort of she looked like she was showing signs of having um a disease, a transmitted disease. I'm not gonna say the other word because I know YouTube doesn't like that stuff. But yeah, so it seemed like she had that. They started questioning her, and then some of her answers and the way her demeanor was kind of presented that maybe something was going on behind the scenes. And then you had the
Her
over
boss.
aggressive boss.
Isn't it at a bank or something?
I thought she was an accountant or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
Either
something
way,
something like that.
why would you bring your boss? They don't even seem
Right.
friendly.
Right.
It's
And
very
she was
shady.
the boss was very overprotective, very secretive about the
Answering for
different things that
her.
she did. Yeah, answering for her, cutting her off. Like it just came off as very weird and very awkward, and it made Dr. McKay's spidey senses tingle a bit. So she definitely was trying to stay on top of that situation, and I can't wait to see where that goes, because I got those vibes too. And I know that it's a show and
It
I'm
was
supposed to
weird.
feel that way, but yeah, it was definitely weird. Something is going on
Not
there.
normal interactions. You don't usually
Yeah.
have your boss come to the hospital with you and answer all the
Mm-mm.
questions for you when you can very well speak for yourself.
Right. And when she wanted to answer questions, she was like actively cutting her off. And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, what's going on
Or
here?
she'd look at her boss and let her boss answer for her. And
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
strange.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange.
I thought that this last line that I have highlighted from the Decider was pretty cool too. And it says, doesn't it make your heart beat faster? The way this show refuses to pause between its multiple emotional triggers. I'm going to go back next episode to letting Katie read these things because I cannot read correctly. But Yeah, I thought that was so true. Like, you don't really have a moment to breathe during
Yeah.
this show. Sometimes you get episodes of shows and moments in shows that are just filler and sort of designed to move the story forward. There might not be as much progression or action, but this show is unrelenting when it comes to that. And in the beginning, it took a while for me to catch on to that and to like enjoy it. But like, man, the longer the show goes, the more I like it and the more I see like the genius behind it.
I like the style. It's very different, but it keeps you engaged.
Yeah,
It's very
for
cool.
sure, for sure. I mean, it's definitely one of my favorite shows that we're watching right now, and you're watching with us. So yeah, that's episode 8 of The Pit. What did you think? Drop a comment below. We love to talk as we have a show. So we also like to type. And if you can drop a comment below, we will respond to that comment like we do every other comment that anybody has ever left. So I get those notifications on my phone. Katie gets them on her phone. Sometimes she responds. Most of the time it's me responding. But we would love to keep this conversation going. So please drop that comment below. And do all the other things like...
Hit like, hit subscribe, leave the comments, notification bell, and continue to watch our show. Was that everything?
That's it. You nailed it.
I did it.
I'm JD.
I'm Katie, and I'm
Thank
pretty
you.
proud of myself.
Yes, you should be. You should be. You like steered the boat this time. That was awesome. We appreciate you for checking out another episode of Watch Stuff with us. We will see you when we see you. Peace.